and I'm here with another free tutorial for you how to do a painting like I just showed you, but like this. This is the original one I found online. If this is yours, give me a shout out so I can give you a shout out, because this is not my original concept. And I don't even know if this is the original concept. I've seen a lot of different versions of this painting online. You know, just different placement of the sandals, different placement of the birds, just same thing, just different, same thing. So we're going to do this. A couple things that you're going to need, like I had mentioned again, we're going to need a hair dryer or a heat gun. We're going to need, I do 2 things of water. I do one as a pre-wash and then one as a second wash. And then that way you have 1 cup of water that stays dirty and one that stays relatively clean, and you don't have to keep changing your water. So that's what I like to do that way. Canvas size I'm using is this big. It's a stretched canvas. You can get them at the Dollar Tree around this size, smaller, bigger. So we're going to use this, and in order to cover a good amount of canvas, you're going to want a larger brush, depending on what size canvas you're using, is going to be what size brush you want. So you want something a little bigger, maybe even, something even bigger than this for, look at me, I'm so unprepared. Don't go away because I'm unprepared. Something bigger like this to do the background, and so you're not taking forever to fill in the background. I might be pausing here and there throughout it because I am in my activity room, my craft room, and as you can see, we have the hallway here, and people might be passing by, and I like to have a little chat with them when they do, if they have a moment, so I might pause it here and there. Okay, so I'm gonna need at least 3 brushes, a big, a medium, and then a really fine one, as small a one as you can get, or as you have, for all the wood grain, woodwork, and little details and grasses and that sort of thing. I say that a lot, that sort of thing. I also say a lot. Sorry about it. If anybody has any ideas of how to stop saying those things all the time, I can't stop it. Anyways, I digress. So, water, brushes, canvas, heat gun or hair dryer, paint. I use acrylic, which is a great water-based paint. I get it in bulk, but I like to steal from our kitchen. Sorry, chef. Steal from our kitchen these little, they're little 2-inch portion cups that come with lids. That way you can set out all your paints, have them all set out, ready to go, lid on top so that they're not drying out. And then you can also save the paint when you're done, and not have to put it back in the big jug, if you do save the paint. We like to save paint here, not throwing it away willy-nilly. Okay, so the colors you will need are white, green, these are all primary. Oh, I guess you can't really see that color. Green, blue, yeller. I don't actually say yeller, I say yellow. Brown, black. And those are all the colors you're gonna need unless you want your your flip-flops to be whatever color you want them to be. For mine, I made mine, I love teal, blue-green, mint, anything in that zone. So what I did was I kind of did a mixture of white, blue, green, and yellow to make a nice teal, but we will get into that in a little bit. You're also going to want, if you want to do this option, a toothbrush, not for cleaning your teeth, But for dipping into the paint, and then when you drag it like this, all those bristles flick forward and flick paint in a spraying motion, and that's how I made the sand grains. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. This is your world, just like Bob Ross always said. Hope I don't get in trouble for saying his name, Bob Ross Corporation. They've already had a talking to me. Anyway, enough about that. I also like to have chalk handy. And that is for when you draw your flip-flops on. If you don't want to freehand it, this is a way that you can draw it and wipe it off if you don't like the mark you made. And of course, you're going to need some paper towels or just a regular towel if you are more earth friendly than I am, evidently. And you can, we paint just right down on the table, but for the sake of this, I'm going to use an easel, and as I'm sure you can guess, I don't know, I guess it'll work. I don't need to, oh, I am doing it like this. Never mind. All right, it'll still work. I was worried that it was going to fall right in between these, but crisis averted. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we're ready to go. What you want to do is you want to get your big brush, the biggest brush you have, and since we are not doing a dry brush technique, you're going to want to go ahead and get it as dry as possible. It doesn't have to be completely dry. And we're going to actively blend on our canvas. So we want to work with rule of thirds. So as we see, this is about a third up is the sky, and then about a third down is the ocean, and then the rest of it is all sand. Now, it's not exact. It doesn't have to be exact. In fact, since it's nature, it's best it's not exact, usually, not always. I'm sure someone can argue against that. But like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to go about halfway down, and I'm going to work my way up the canvas because I want this part to be drying as I work up. That way I can work down with our other colors. So that's kind of something you want to kind of keep in mind is what can I work on and where can I work on it while that can be drying for me to work on something else. All right, so starting with our blue, you want to get some blue on your brush. And like I said, we're going to go about a third down. So go ahead and just get some paint on the canvas, not too thick. Okay, and again, it doesn't have to be a straight line. And then I'm going to quickly clean my brush. Now, like I said, I have an initial wash that I'm going to just clean it. And I'm not going to say how Bob Ross cleaned it because then I could get some sort of copyright or something. So anyways, drying it off, going for the, white, getting some white on. And getting that white on the canvas in the white areas, and then just kind of starting to actively blend on the canvas. I don't want it to be perfect brush strokes. Whoops, that was definitely not a perfect brush stroke. They don't have to be perfectly left and right, but I am moving left and right, not up and down or sideways. I'm going to get some more white. And we're making, as I'm sure you have guessed, the sky. Get some more white. So I want mine to be streaky and not exactly in fade, but I want there to be some clouds have fun with the clouds. So what I'm doing is I'm just tippity tapping, kind of twisting the brush around as I go. You don't have to have clouds if you have a nice clear beach sky. Now, don't fall in love or get too angry about any part of this because we will be putting wood planks over some parts of it to make our wood plank fence. And clouds. Okay, that's good. Again, we are going to be washing our brush in our pre-wash. Then rinsing it off in our second wash. And then drying it off. Still using the biggest brush we have out of the 3 that we chose to use. Now I'm going to do our ocean. So our ocean is, if we want to talk about atmospheric perspective, we want it to be darker the further out it goes and lighter the closer it gets to us. Although if you're doing mountains, you kind of want the different concept. You want them to get lighter as they go further. So I guess it just depends on what kind of atmosphere you're working with, is what kind of conditions they will have. So it doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but you do want it to be relatively straight unless you got a big tidal wave come in or something like that. And I'm just going to do kind of what I call a vignette, where I focus on the sides and the top. Cleaning my brush. Second wash. And dry it. You kind of want to work with a sense of urgency, not anxiety so much to speak, just urgency. This is supposed to be fun, but I say urgency because you want to, again, actively blend while the paint is still wet on the canvas. And just keep blending it. And that way it'll kind of give you the atmospheric perspective of it going off into the distance. And again, you don't want to go all the way down to the bottom because this is going to be where we start to get to our beach. Guess what we're doing next? Yep, cleaning our brush. And drying it off. Okay. Now we are going to do our beach. And so since I want my beach to be a different kind of tone brown, since I'm only using one type of brown, I want to have different tones for the wood planks. These are a little bit more of a white washed wood, and then this is going to be a more yellowy brown for the beach sand and that sort of thing. I said it again. Okay, so whoops. So we're going to get some brown on the board. Get some brown on the canvas. Okay, again, working with a sense of urgency, but not anxiety. Cleaning our brush so we can actively blend before it dries. Speaking of dry your brush because you don't want it to be watercolor. We want it to be acrylic. And now I'm going to go in with my yellow and use this a little bit more sparingly. Blending, 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 blending. Okay, and then now we're going to tone it down a bit after we clean and dry our brush yet again. Okay, then, like I said, we're gonna kind of mute this down a little bit, tone it down a little bit. So we're gonna grab some white and go back and streak over, grab some more white. Now you don't want your paint to be too thick at any point because then it just takes forever to dry. So if it is thick at some, like it's a little bit thick right there, I'm gonna spread it out. I don't want to completely blend it. I want it to have different tones coming out. And these are waves. Okay, now I've kind of blended some blue. There's going to be blue on my brush. So instead of going back down right now, I'm going to clean and dry my brush. So I can get some more tones and cover the canvas because you can see the canvas coming through. And there's still some kind of blobs that need to be evened out here. Be careful of going into that blue. Now we are going to kind of go over this again, so you don't have to worry too much about it. And if you do get blue down in your more sandy area, that's okay. We can cover it up. But so now I'm just trying to make where the beach goes in, the water covers the sand, and they two blend together. All right, like I said, we're going to kind of redo. Add more to this after a couple more steps, and then of course we're going to do our splatter if that's something you were planning on doing. I don't know, it depends on your painters. If you think that might be too messy or just something you don't want to get it involved in, you don't have to have the little speckles of sand for it to read as sand. It'll still read as sand. Okay, now we want to dry our background. If you have a heat gun or like a hair dryer, so now is when we want to do. But I'm gonna pause it for you. So it's all dry. Careful doing that, especially you don't want to just smear everything you just did. Excuse me. God bless me. Anyways, now I'm going to grab my chalk, maybe get a piece out. And this way we can map out where we want our wood planks to go, how many we want, how big we want them to be, that sort of thing. So, I tend to like to work in odd numbers, but I don't know, let's just start kind of drawing. So I want to be able to see, see it off the side. So just if it'll draw, sometimes you gotta get it going so it'll draw. And then we want to go about halfway through the sand. So the sand is this much, about halfway. So this is all going to be filled in. There you go, that side works better. This is going to be all filled in. All this is going to be seen through. I know, all this is beautiful. I'm going to cover it. Oh, well. I could avoid it. I could if I wanted to, but I guess I don't want to. And all this will be colored in so that I can map it out in my cabeza. Yo estoy perdida en mi own cabeza. And then, okay, so that one's going to be filled in. And then one more to the side. So I guess I'm doing an even number, even though I tend to like to go odd numbers. But here we are. You don't really need to do all that. So we're filling all those in, and those are going to be our fence planks. So you want to grab not your biggest brush, but your medium-sized brush. Go ahead and get that nice and dry. And again, we're going to be blending on the canvas. So what I'm going to do, blending on the canvas means we work with sense of urgency. So we go down, it's a plank, it's wooden, it's been on the beach side, it's warped. So let it be warped. I'm going to do one plank at a time so that each is different, because they are going to each be different. This one's kind of turning out a little wider at the top. I don't really want it to be wider at the top than it is the bottom, but that's all right. Okay, so we got our white prime, our white base, and I'm not even cleaning my brush. I'm just going right into the brown, just getting a little bit and spreading out some streaks. And now I'm going to go back and streak it up even more. You can use a smaller brush if you think you need a smaller brush. Okay, so that's not as streaky as I was hoping. So I'm going to go back and just keep playing with it until it's a little bit streakier. So I've got it to be brown. It's brown enough. I don't want it to be any browner than what it is. So we're going to clean our brush. Whoops. And go in with some more white. No yellow, because the yellow's all down here. Now I want this to be like a much more wider, streakier. There you go. That's starting to look a little better. Because you really want it to have a wood grain. And there's different ways you can do wood grain. I just love doing wood grain. Okay, so there's one. And I'm not cleaning my brush or anything like that. I know that's terrible. I'm compromising my white. And we're just going to do the same thing over here. And then we'll go, after we do the base of all of our boards, we can add a couple wood knots, wood grain knots in them. And I just, like I said, I love doing wood grain. You'll notice that with the brown, I'm using it very sparingly. You don't want it really thick on your brush. And streaky, 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 streaky. Now you'll see that you can see the chalk. Don't worry about that. That chalk will come off. I wait until I know that my canvas is completely dry. The last thing you want to do is go to wipe off your chalk, and then you smear all of your work. Okay, ready for our sideboards. And a little bit of paint goes a long way. Okay, I see I have a lot of paint on my brush and I want to go in and do white. I am going to, oops, I just used my second wash. Great, Sada. So, I ruined my own method. And dry, going in with white. Okay, and once again. Hiya, George.
How you doing?
I'm painting, so you know I'm doing great.
Let me see.
You come see.
I can't see too much, but I just want.
You tell me, yeah. You tell me what you think about it.
Well, I can't see it that well, but I just want to see kind of what you're going to see.
It's an ocean with the beach, with the what's that? A fence? Gulf Shores is your home.
Also, the border here around South Alabama, Gulf Shores. Oh, thank you. God bless you.
Bless you too, George. I'll see you around.
You don't have a phone, do you?
I do. You need it? He did get your picture. Yeah, he said thank you. My pleasure. All right, George. We'll see you around. You enjoy your din-din. Should be good tonight. Well, good luck with that. Okay, so you see I did all that. I kind of went over a little bit here, but like I said, they're warped planks. They're warped planks, so they don't have to be perfect. Get some wood grain. Okay. So now we're going to clean our brush. Now I have no second wash. I just messed everything up. That's okay. First world problem, not a real problem. So let's go on, keep moving on to what we're going to do next is we're going to do our flip-flops, our flippity-flops. But first we need to okay. So we mostly just want all this down here to be dry. Or you can put your flip-flops wherever you want. You don't have to put flip-flops. You want to put a beach ball, put a beach ball. You want to put a starfish, a little sea turtle, or if you just want to cover and bring the sand back over up to the top of these, and just leave it a scenery like this and put some grasses in it, and some birds, and that's it. You don't even have to put flip-flops, but we're going to put flip-flops because that's what I promised you. All right, this is when you also want to use your chalk. Now, if you are not confident in drawing your own flip-flops, what I would suggest is maybe print a picture of them off of the interwebs and then cut it out and turn that into a stencil. I'm just going to draw mine real quick. So they kind of slant down and it comes up at the big toe, goes in around. I'm doing the left foot in, it goes inwards and then back out, down around the bottom and to the top. Now again, it doesn't have to be perfect. People are going to know what it is. They do have to look somewhat similar. And that's where it gets a little bit more difficult. Okay, so going into the arch, around the bottom, up, and this one is bigger than that one. Wonderful. But that's why we use chalk, because freehanding isn't always necessarily my forte. But, and I know you can't really see it here, but, you know, we do the best we can in this world. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I know artists tend to be hardest on themselves, so that's something I tell my artists not to do, to let things not be so perfect all the time. You don't have to have everything be perfect. So, like I said, so these are your flip-flops. These can be whatever color you want them to be. I would suggest to make them a different color than the boards, different color than the sand, different color than the ocean and the sky. You can make them hot pink. People love pink, right? Not totally over here, do not like pink, but who cares? So, I'm going to mix my own colors. I'm going to use my medium-sized brush as a mixing agent, a mixing tool. I have a empty cup, and I'm going to get some blue and scrape. Got some blue. Clean the brush. Dry the brush off. Gonna go get some green. Get some green. Scrape it off. Same thing. Ooh. Dry it off. You can see there's still some green on it. Oops, a daisy. Hi, Sue. Talking to myself in here. Well, sometimes you gotta have a good conversation, you know. And then we got some yellow. Gonna get that. And then clean my brush off. Oh, you're fine. You're famous now. You're an influencer. Great indeed. And then last but not least, I'm going to go into my chunky white. Yeah, there's a big chunk in there. And that way I can kind of mute the color down a little bit. And now I'm going to, whoops, spill everything and mix and see what color I got. Yep, I got a nice blue-green. Well, it's really just kind of green, but it's a nice green. I'm going to make my green a little bit more blue. I know this is terrible, but I'm dipping my unclean brush into the blue because I don't plan on really using much more of it. And there you go, making it a little bit more of a teal color. Okay, so now I have my teal color. And I'm going to get my itty bitty little brush, itty bitty. And I'm just going to trace the outline of my flippy flops. And then I'll go in and fill in. But this way, if you don't like what you do, it's always better to start smaller, and you can make your flip-flop bigger. You just can't, once you make the mark, make it smaller. You can add to it, make it bigger, yada, yada, yada. See, you can see the shapes kind of coming. That way, it's easier to paint if you get an outline to it. It's just grabbing all that chalk. All right. Also heard of people doing beach scenes and they have their residents glue seashells onto it. That's something else you can do. Good excuse to go to the beach to get seashells. If you're like me and you live in Missouri, you would like any excuse to go to the beach and get seashells. So, now I'm going to take my medium-sized brush and fill in the lines. So I'm drying my brush off so it's not so wet. Still has paint on it because I didn't completely clean it because I am terrible. Just kidding. Okay. Filling it in. I've also seen people do designs, you know, just swirls or polka dots or whatever you want to do on your flip-flop. Oh, this flip-flop's really curved. I also like to, again, I'm not even going to clean my brush, grab some blue and just add some other tones. Blend it in, but just kind of make it so that it's almost like shadows or something. Just, I don't know, it just makes it visually more interesting. In my opinion, anyhow. Okay, so fill this one in. I know I'm breaking all the rules. Sorry, Professor Troy. Hopefully he's not watching this. He's got too many beautiful paintings to paint that he's not watching my silly little beach scene. Oh, it's not silly. Okay, again, and then we're going to add some more tones just to make it visually more interesting, in my opinion. All right, so that needs to dry before we can paint the straps on. So while that's drying, well, you can, if you want, go ahead and get out your hair dryer and dry it, but we can work on other things while we're waiting for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some grasses, because then we're going to go back over, like I said, with some more sand and kind of go over this and all of the bases, so it looks like they're sticking out of the sand. So I'm going to grab my smaller brush for this. Still at it, Jack. Still at it. You know me. I got to stay out of trouble. I got to stay out of trouble. Yeah, so I got to keep busy. That's how I do it.
Is it okay with you, husband?
We should probably ask him, huh? All right, let's ask him. I think the Bible says we should ask him anyhow. Yeah. I'll let him know you checked.
It's nice to see him the other day.
Yeah, it's nice when he comes up and visits.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you around, Jack. So as you see, I'm just doing some grasses starting at the base and doing flicking motions and even pulling my brush up off of the canvas at the end. And we're just doing some little grasses. That just kind of grow up out of little, this is just going to be a little itty bitty little spritz of grass. And I'm going to do 3 little tufts of grass, because like I said, I do in fact actually like to work in odd numbers. I know this green is kind of getting lost in my flip-flop color, but that's okay. I'm not mad about it. There's other things in this world more suitable for anger. Okay, so I've got a green. I'm going to take some brown not even cleaning my brush. In fact, I'm kind of even mixing the green and I guess some white too. Um, so I'm getting some brown on my brush and I'm going over and doing that thing where I'm just adding another tone, just making it visually interesting. I might have to go back over that with green. Just kind of have fun with it. Don't overthink it. That's what I tell everyone. Just have fun with it. Pretty much anything can be fixed. Just use your ingenuity. Okay. Done. Gonna blow dry. Okay. And part I think is kind of do the yeah, straps. So I'm going to use my little brush and I'm going to do black straps. Again, you can do whatever color you want. You are the fashion designer of these flip-flops. So what you're going to want to do is find where the little connector goes in between the toes. Do a little dot there. And then almost like an upside down V. V for Victor. Draw your straps. Now I'm going to make my straps a little bit thicker. I know I'm a little shaky. I'm always a little shaky. I don't know what the deal is. Probably too much caffeine. All right. They're not perfect, but again, I try to just allow things to not always be perfect because it gives it character. It really does. So there's your flip-flops. We're also going to do our wire that's holding the fence together. The planks. So what you're going to want to do is do a wave and go stop because it's going to go behind this one. It's going to come out the other end, the other side, wavy in front, and then, yeah, you guessed it. Stop behind that one. Why is it wavy? Because it's a twisted wire. So then we come in and we go up and we do a loop and then we go and it's behind it. And then loop, loop, loop. This has been weathered. Oops, I got black. Oh no, I've got black from here right there. That's okay. It's okay. Perfect example of don't worry about it. I will help you figure out how to fix it. Just let it dry. See these black? I don't want it. Just let it dry. If I try to wipe it off, it'll just smear it. Let it dry and then fix it later. Okay, and then these go behind that one. So in front, behind, in front. You can put them all in front if you want. You can put them all behind if you want. Mine go in front, behind, and front. And I even make little nails. You don't have to do that. That's and then almost finished. Now we're going to do our bird with black and the little brush. You don't want it too blobby on there. Hello. You don't want it too blobby. And so we're going to do 3 again. I'm going to do one big one going one direction, one in the distance that's a little bit smaller, And then one kind of in the middle. Ooh, I'm so shaky. And then so we got our 3 birds. Okay, clean the brush. Perfect example. I'm not happy about these. So what I'm going to do is nothing. Really, I mean, I really don't feel like I really need to do anything. But if you want to do something, what I would do is take some blue. Now this blue is not going to be the same kind of blue, but just touch it and then tap it. I guess tapping it, I'm blotting away extra. And I'm just going to pretend like that's part of the wood. Oh, speaking of wood, I said we were going to do wood grain. Let's do it. Do it. Wood grain. Wood grain and sand over that. So let's do wood grain first. Okay, so I'm going to go down and I'm going to go round it out. And you want to think of like a swirl. You know me, I love swirls. I'm going to not make it completely a connected line. So I pick up my brush, have an imaginary right there, and like I said, I'm going to swirl, pick up my brush, swirl, pick up my brush, swirl, pick up my brush. And then see how that's starting to come alive? I love my swirls. Okay, and I'm going to hug the side of it. Pick up my brush, do another line, pick up my brush. And you don't want to overwork it. I have a tendency to overwork my woodwork because I have so much fun making all these little wooden lines that are staggered and wavy, and so that's how you're going to do your wood grain. Now, not all of them are going to have the same kind of wood grain. Not all of them are going to have knots. So without trying to stick my hand in it again, that's not going to work. Let me adjust this. And some of them are just going to be just that, little wavy lines that are staggered. And just kind of, like I said, play around with it. Okay, so you can continue to do wood grains all along. And let's get some more of our sand. Now we want to do our splatter method. And then this is a point where we can, if we need to, go back over our little grasses. But I'm going to grab my medium brush, clean it off and dry it off real good. Okay, and we're going to do kind of what we did earlier, a lot of blending on the canvas, but we want to go over the bottom of, I probably should have waited to do the grasses. You can probably wait to do the grasses. And then some brown. So we want it to look like everything is sticking out of the sand. And white to mute it down. And so see, now they look like they're sticking out of, I'm going to go back over that grass. Just forget about the grass for now. Pretend like we didn't do it. Okay. So now we want to get our toothbrush. Mine's in the water, so as you can see, it's dripping wet. Gonna dry it. Now we do want it to be a little bit hydrated. You don't want it to be completely dry. And what you're going to want to do is cover the parts of the canvas that you do not want to get splattered on, which is most of it. So I'm covering, it doesn't want to stay. Why won't you just stay? Okay. I know we can see, that's fine, there'll be some, it's fine, don't worry. So what we're gonna do is, if you need to wear gloves for this, you can, but I'm only happiest when I have paint all over me. So I go out of my way to get paint on me. Don't tell my husband. Oh God, he's probably gonna listen to this. Great. Anyways, so we got the brown. I always suggest to practice your splattering on a practice piece of paper or on the tablecloth. Until you get the hang of it. You also want to get the initial spray off of it because it can be kind of blobby. I use my thumb. Some people do two hands and will go like this or that. I just use my thumb and draw it back. So just spritz, 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 spritz. And then change color. I did black, white, and yellow. I'm not cleaning my brush in between black and brown. Initial splits off. Spritz, 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 spritz. Okay, good job. Now that we're going to move to yellow and white, I'm going to clean my brush, toothbrush this time, and wipe off my hand. Okay. Okay, as clean as it's gonna get for now. I mean, my white's already been compromised. So we're gonna go in, dip the white, initial splatter off to get the gunk off, and spritz, 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 spritz. Whoopsie. And we're almost done. You don't have to spritz yellow, but I did. Spritz, 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 spritz. Ooh, I did extra of that. And then you can take it away, put your brush back away. And now you can see all of our little sand spritzes, our grain. I did get it all over my laptop. So when I was wiping down my laptop, I accidentally turned it off, not knowing, and I finished the rest of the painting. So let me just flip back around and go over what I did. Okay. Can you see? There you go. Okay. So what I did was, I believe, I'm trying to remember where I left off. Cleaning my brush, drying it off. So I guess what I did when I left off was I went back over with green and this little brush, and I did some more little flicking grass motions. I went back over here, and then without even drying my brush and cleaning my brush, I went with a little bit of brown. You don't want it too globby, and just got another tone of grass in there. Yeah. And then I signed my work, as you should always sign and date. Well, I don't always date. I usually just sign. But then I signed with my little S swirl in the shape of a wonky heart. And I guess that's it. Go ahead and clean up. Put away your paints, clean your brushes, that sort of thing. And if you are an activities director or in the department, like I am, of an awesome retirement community, or just any department that does activities, share your ideas with me of what you all do. I'm always looking for new fun stuff for me and my friends to do. So thanks for watching along, and share your finished masterpieces with me so I can see what you did. Bye.